Hello and welcome to a new video. I didn't say grapplers this time, because I want this video to be shared if you have a friend that is currently thinking or has seen any videos about Zangief being top tier or big. This video will try to explain the whole situation, so everyone has a proper understanding of what's going on with Zangief and why some people think he's top tier. I do not. I think he's good, better than he was, playable, I'd say, but not necessarily as good as people think. What's going on with Zangief buffs? As you know by this point, Zangief takes more drive damage from your opponent, I guess. You do way more. The reason why they decided to go for that route is because Zangief is not necessarily a character that is close to you all the time. He has to work to get in. So most of the time Zangief is gonna be over here or maybe even over here. He needs to walk you. He needs to try to get in. And when he's in, the big guy needs to do something, needs to threaten you somehow. Since he's not a really strong character with frame traps, and he doesn't have the best tools for pressuring in general, the exception of Headbutt, they decided to buff Headbutt, his only real tool for proper pressure without using Dry Rush. So it makes sense for this move to be this good in terms of drive damage. The rest of the buffs are mostly because Zangief doesn't combo that much. He doesn't get as much meter as other characters. He doesn't even get to finish his combos normally. Like if you hit someone with a couple of lights, this is notoriously one of Zangief's biggest weaknesses. He cannot end his combos. He has to go for OD Lariat sometimes, and even then, OD Lariat can whiff. So that is not something Zangief has going on. And you have to spend meter, and that meter for OD, because now he recovers more drive meter by just poking, because really he needs that. He needs that to start his game plan. Before this season, during season 1, he had no opportunity to build meter, so it makes sense for Zangief to be a bully with buttons from here, and once he's close, he takes more drive damage and he also deals more damage. Everything makes sense for the type of character they want Zangief to be. That's the reason why Zangief has been buffed in terms of dry damage, more damage for certain pokes. Not every poke has been increased in terms of damage, and also why he gets more super meter, just because he doesn't get to finish combos that often. Probably the reason why most people think Zangief is really good in this game is Headbutt. Well, let me tell you something about Headbutt. First of all, this is +7, and you might be thinking, whoa, especially if you're not a Zangief player, you might be thinking +7 is huge. For any other character, this would be huge. But for Zangief, it's alright. It's necessary. Why 7 frames? Because he needs to combo with Hellstab, and Hellstab is 7 frames. That's basically the reason. You can also combo with Standing Light Kick, which is also 7 frames. Both of these buttons are on the slow side if you really take a look at the range, and this being a light with a ton of recovery, it makes sense for Headbutt to be +7. For him to allow to combo something. He's not gonna get Headbutt all the time. Again, he needs to get really close to you, otherwise this button does not work. So he needs to be close. As you can see here, even if I'm relatively over here, I can still whiff it. So he needs to be really close in order to enforce the Headbutt. It's not like he's gonna just hit you with Headbutt 24/7. He needs to be really close in order to establish that pressure. But that is the reason why this move is +7. He needs that because his buttons are not really that fast. Any other character might just need a +2, a +3, and that'd be fine. That is not the case with Zangief. And the same thing applies to this +4. That means he has a true strike throw mix-up. This might be one of the few situations where Zangief actually gets that. If he wants to go for a frame trap, Hellstab is the best option, and he's going to be -3 if he doesn't cancel into DRC, so he's losing his turn for trying to go for a frame trap. If he wants to go for like a true block string, that's the best thing he's gonna do, and he's gonna be +2 spaced. Obviously, if he's close enough, he can go for regular grabs, but this only applies if he's close. He cannot grab you here, at least with normal throws. That means generally his game plan is either frame trap you with Hellstab or go for SPD. He can certainly do that. But as you know, SPD doesn't give the best Oki, so he's just getting damage, raw damage if he gets you with an SPD. That's it, nothing more. He can also go into super level 3 should the Zangief player wants to do something like that. But he needs to be close. That's the thing. He's not gonna get Headbutt out of nowhere. And other buttons don't allow to go into Headbutt. Like if he goes for something like this, that is fake. That is not true pressure. Same with this one. You have to allow Zangief to get that close. That's basically, that's the reason why that is. Other changes are mostly situational, like going for Wheelkick. Sure, you can make it safe. It's not necessarily like any other overhead in the game. It is good, especially if you're in burnout, but this is not something you cannot punish. That's the first thing. It can be here -7, -8, but you can react to the whole animation of this thing with the eye. You can perfect parry, you can jump it. It's a tool Zangief has to use sometimes when people are just standing still or throwing buttons. It is not a move you need to abuse. So it's very easy for the opponent to recognize that entire animation. You just go for the DI and that's a free punish. And the eyes are generally one of Zangief's biggest weaknesses. He doesn't have the best tools to deal with them. Most of his really good pokes, even the fantastic poke that is now standing minion kick, this also loses to the eye. So it's not easy for Zangief to deal with that. He has this standing minion kick, crouching minion kick, and standing minion punch. All of them are really weak to the eyes. So he has to take into account the opponent with having the possibility of throwing a random DI. So he cannot go and just go with medium punches all the time. Also, these buttons are really slow, so you can jump forwards if you see Zangief going for way too many standing medium punches or standing medium kicks, and he eats the full jumping. Sweep is also decent, but as you know, it's -13, so almost every single sweep in the game can punish this. He can space it, but most of the time you get a free punish. Why Zangief is not as strong as you might think he is. He doesn't have the best defense in the game. His super level 2 is 18 frames. That means every single character can bait it with just a jab. If you pressure Zangief, go for a jab, he has to basically guess with a perfect parry. That's all he has. If he goes for the wake up dry reversal and you go for a light, you will bait it. Super level 1 is just a combo ender and a really hard read sometimes, but that's it. He doesn't have anything else. Super level 3, again, it's a really huge gamble for Zangief. You can bait that really easily with backdashes. So basically Zangief has no defense. Standing heavy punch, when you're in burnout, might be your only tool against the eyes. If you go for a really tight DI, for example a drive rush into something, probably standing heavy punch will not be fast enough to counter that. It's one of those characters, probably he might be the only character, likely, where you can get really easy checkmate scenarios. If he is in burnout, if Zangief is in burnout, he probably will lose the matchup. Zangief has to take some huge risks like forward jumps, some random standing heavy punches, or maybe backdashes or forward dashes in order to escape a possible situation where he is going to die in the corner. He doesn't have the best defense, and yeah, that doesn't work either. As I mentioned before, almost every character in this game, I'm gonna say everyone, has good conversions from lights. Zangief does not. Zangief was, even in Season 1, was one of those characters that required to go into DRCs from lights almost every single time. That is not the case with other characters, where you can get just something like a 3 pokes to Shoryuken, dash, and you might have Hoki. That is not the case with Zangief. Even here, Lariat can whiff. The Lariat whiffs so much, and the OD Lariat is more consistent, but not as much as we Zangief players want it to be. We need to use single pokes, maybe going to SPD, or if you do want to go into DRCs, you might have to reset the opponent. Then wait and reset. Because this damage is frankly awful and you get no Oki out of this. At least no Oki in the middle of the screen, which is really bad for under 1800. Conversions from lights are not good, and the nerf to lights DRCs or lights, any combo with lights, really hurts Zangief in this aspect. His damage is basically situational. Whenever you see a big combo for Zangief, like over 6k, the reason behind that is because the opponent woke up with super, with maybe Shoryuken, and Zangief takes care of that opportunity and he goes for that. Or he blocks a dry reversal that is -6, so he goes for SPD. In reality, most of the match, Zangief will only get single pokes. This is the damage. And obviously, what I mentioned before, that thing. That is really freaking low for Zangief. So if he doesn't land a jump in or maybe a headbutt, you're not gonna get that much damage. He's not a high damaging character unless he gets the headbutt. That's basically it. If he counters you, like, have you seen Zangief trying to whiff punish with something like it? This happens very often. If he goes for the combo, that's the damage. He needs to go into super level 3, OD, and at that point you're wasting almost every single drive meter you have. Zangief has to bait something, try to punish with SPD, and that's it. In the corner he can get more damage, but he needs to rely on headbutt. Basically headbutt is the key. But the opponent has to wait, has to get hit, they have options. If you have a Shoryuken, you can wake up with Shoryuken again, you can read the match, you can wake up with a reversal. You have to be very careful with that, because headbutt, even though it's really good, the move is really weak to drive reversal on wake up, so you cannot just throw it 24/7. And since Zangief really struggles to take you to the corner, losing the corner is very significant for Zangief, so it all starts all over again, and he will struggle for the rest of the match. He's not really good at dealing with fireballs. I think I saw someone, he mentioned perfect parry, drive rush was a good tool against fireballs. That is not the case. Zangief has to perfect parry, block very carefully, especially against Akuma or Guile, and squeeze maybe a standing heavy punch or standing medium kick. But most of the match is this. Super level 2 is not that consistent in terms of range. You can definitely use it sometimes, but it's not the tool that will save you from a fireball war. If you perfect parry drive rush, his drive rush is really slow to do something like that, but you can definitely sometimes go for a random raw drive rush into holding a standing heavy punch to catch a single hit fireball, because as you know, this only absorbs one hit. Upper body armor. His frame traps are awful. Other characters with a +2 can really create some game, really create a situation where the opponent is threatened. That is not the case with Zangief. If you're +2 with Zangief like this, your only frame trap into a strike is crouching light kick. That's it, because this is 6 frames. Because every time Zangief is +2, this is his frame trap. And as you know, if you block it all, he loses distance, and that's no bueno. If he's close enough, maybe he can threaten with a regular throw or SPD. He has to be extremely close to do that. That's basically most of Zangief frame traps. Like if he goes for this, that is +1. You can interrupt this mashing jabs. If he goes for SPD here, your jab will beat the SPD. He has to go for something crazy like a super level 3. Or you can just backdash and escape. Almost every single frame trap he has is awful. That's why headbutt is so important, because that is +4, and that's fantastic because you can get a hell stab. That is great. That doesn't happen very often with Zangief. Look at this. +3. Hell stab here trades with 4 framers. So the best frame trap he has over here is either SPD or a freaking crouching light punch. This happens again very often with Zangief, where he's just close enough for an SPD, but not close enough for something bigger than a light. And that is really bad, because his lights, even though they're really good, I really like the lights, they're not moves that are made for combos. So it's not like other characters, they can go for like 2 hits, 2 lights into something, like 2 lights into flash kick. That doesn't happen with Zangief. And also, before I forget, backdashes, forward jumps are really bad for Zangief. Forward jumps because his anti-air game is really bad. Lariat is very situational and inconsistent. Easily cross up Zangief if you're really close. And he has to go for a perfect parry or for a YOLO OD Lariat. His frame traps are usually involve lights. He's not gonna be that close in order for him to stop a backdash. He has to rely on bigger buttons that are lower, obviously, so he has to go for something like this. And that obviously catches backdashes, but look at this. This is 10 frames. I'm giving 9 frames for a possible backdash. You're always risking yourself with Zangief in terms of frame traps. Again, that's why headbutt is so important, and that's why you see so many Zangief players going for this. Never back jump against Zangief, forward jump in order to stop this situation, because a lot of people like to neutral jump or back jump, and they usually get caught by that thing. Mostly a combo ender. Super level 2, so slow, 18 frames, as I mentioned several times in this video. It just sucks for almost everything. At this point, you might want to use super level 2 as a combo filler rather than a wake up tool. And since you recover meter faster than the previous season, you might just want to go for super level 3 and always have super level 3 in case you really need it for the damage. you go for this, for example, this is a true block string. This is weak to dry reversals. You can just dry reversal every time Zangief goes for anything that is DRC. The opponent can dry reversal and you will be thrown to the other side of the screen and everything starts again. If you look at Zangief overall, is Headbutt, and for that to hit you have to be close. You start to see the cracks of a character that really requires some more love in order to be really good, as people make it out to be. He can definitely steamroll you sometimes with SPDs, or maybe you guessed incorrectly, but that's mostly Street Fighter 6. Every character can do that. Yuri can do that, Chun-Li, in different ways. The thing is, Zangief has a command grab, and that's mostly why people hate this archetype, because you cannot block a command grab. You have to jump it or backdash it, and that's maybe something people don't want to do or they're not used to. The reason why Zangief is not really a top tier character. He has a lot of issues. I don't think some of them are gonna ever be fixed. In fact, I'm kinda scared some things might be nerfed, because right now all of the buffs are really good. All of them are really decent, like having a safe knee is very good for the neutral game he needs to go for. I'm pretty scared about possible nerfs, because people are going way too loud with this character, and he in fact requires more buffs, not more nerfs. He really needs a consistent light combo, and also better anti-airs, and they haven't given that to him. And that's kind of scary, because I don't know what they want to do with Zangief in the future. That's mostly it. That's the reason why Zangief is how it is. I hope you now understand why he's a good character, a playable character, but nothing crazy. He's not top 10. He's not S tier, A tier plus, A tier whatever. He's playable now. He might be, if you really want a letter, he might be B plus, something closer to that. He's really close to being A if they fix the speed of super level 2 and anti-airs and light combos. He might just jump to A something, and then I would agree it's a really complete character and probably one of the best in the game, probably top 10. But right now, with all those issues, he's fine, playable. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you really liked this one, please subscribe. We have a lot of things going on. We've been having some fun on stream, just talking about stuff and playing Zangief, so if you want to check that out, Siberian Lab, Twitch.tv Siberian Lab. Keep playing Grapplers. If you don't, join us. We're fun people. Have a great weekend and take care. Bye bye.